detective. Thrill me.
Welcome to the Thrill Me podcast. Gibbo, Matty, no Adam this week, so we're without our fearless leader, but we're on our BMXs. We're going for a ride.
It is the B team, mate.
We'll begin, as always, with what we've been watching, and Matty, being the guest, you can jump straight into that, mate. Kick us off.
I'll give you, because I haven't been here for a while, I'll just say some names, and if you want to hear anything about it.
Yeah.
You'd have a fair list, I'd imagine.
Yeah, I've limited it a bit. Got through all of Rick and Morty. That show is incredible. I love it. If you guys have not seen it,
I haven't seen it yet, but I've been meaning to. So.
Oh, it's unbelievable, just hilarious, and it's one of the best animated shows I've seen. So. That's pretty good. Finished off Master of None, which probably a little bit contentious at the moment.
Yeah, a little bit.
Old as is in some hot fight, some trouble, but loved it. Good characters in there, and a lot of heart, and I guess some things that people can relate to.
What did I miss? What's he in trouble for?
Sexual. He went on a date. He went on a date, and he did something dodgy, and
missed non-verbal cues apparently. Yeah. So
missed non-verbal. Wow.
Yeah.
Sorry. Just say no.
It's contentious, that one.
Wow. Yeah. I tried to get into that. I didn't see what the appeal was. I tried watching it. I was just like,
I just love the character. I love it's just this guy trying to, and then just all the banter. His dad is hilarious in it. Just I
honestly only watched like one episode, so I probably haven't given it enough time to be honest.
Yeah, oh, really good. Handmaid's Tale. I watched that with the missus, and so that's actually pretty interesting. Bit harder to watch, I guess, now that you've had a little baby, and but really interesting. Do you guys know?
I know the name, but I know nothing about it.
It's one of those. Basically, it's a dystopian plot based around there's been a virus that's pretty much made most people infertile. So these people that can have kids are like pretty much kept as slaves.
Oh,
so
nice.
So it's pretty intense, and just the value of I guess what a person's life is comes into question in it. Atypical, I got through that again. That was one of the misses pushing that through.
Good.
Yeah, I didn't mind it.
Something different.
Yeah. You've got the dad in that. What's his name? Anyway, he's.
I watched it actually when it first came out.
Rappaport.
Oh yeah, Michael Rappaport. Yeah, that's it.
He just goes off.
He's actually pretty good in it though.
Yeah. He's got a bit of depth as well. So it's very entertaining. 13 Reasons Why. I feel like it's. I guess as a teacher, you probably wouldn't want my kids watching that.
Yeah.
Just like sort of that. I guess that glorification of everybody look at me, especially now that I'm dying. I didn't quite like that, but it's all right. Barkley Marathons, you guys heard of this one?
No.
Basically, this nothing to do with Charles Barkley, I'm sorry to say, but it's about this crazy guy just liked running and decided to set up a nearly impossible marathon set over like a couple of days, and it's just watching these people sort of try and get through and. It's set like in a park, and he changes the course every year, and he openly admits that there's no way he'd ever be able to finish it. So it's just
right.
But it's funny.
Interesting.
Funny. Yeah. You have to get invited to it, and there's people putting in applications, and they always have a rookie, and just to see how quickly they'll bail out of it, because it's a ridiculously hard thing. That's pretty cool.
He sounds like a nice bloke.
Champion dude.
I pretty much just watched this one so we would have something to talk about. Human Centipede.
Oh, no.
Yeah, I watched the first one.
Oh, yeah.
I can't cop it.
No.
I can't do it.
I
watched the first one.
I can't cop that it got sequels.
Yeah.
Like, how much did that do you need to see?
Just watching the trailer was enough. Like, that's plenty. That's all I needed to see to get.
That's the whole movie. You get the gist.
Yeah. I still don't quite understand how a doctor is like really that's his life's goal, and how the police are confused. Who's it going to be in the town? Probably I'm pretty sure he would have made a mention of how about we say their ass to their mouth at some point in his life. He would have been disbarred at some point. But,
yeah.
I just don't know how
you can't hide
goes to that. Like someone goes into a thing and says, "Oh, you know what I'm thinking? I'm thinking I'm going to make a movie about someone's mouth getting so to someone else's," and they're like, "Here's $10 million."
You're onto something, man.
I like the way
we can stress that out to 3 movies. That's terrible.
But
well done, Matthew.
Yeah, I had to do it. Maggie, I watched Maggie. So Arnold Schwarzenegger, and I loved that. I thought that was really good. Just that whole slow take on a zombie movie, the slow burn, as opposed to
more the emotional side of things.
Yeah, loved it. So
Yeah.
I did like a zombie trilogy. I watched the new Land of the Dead and the Dawn of the Dead as well. So, and I probably like that new one, the Maggie one, way more than the other two, just because it's that the zombies, they're not doing something different with the zombies to make them like hyped up, and so you need bigger fight and bigger guns and that sort of thing. So I really enjoyed that. I watched Boys in the Hood. Why not? Bit of Cuba.
Throwback.
Going back a bit.
Why not? Why not? Is this too many? I'm going. And Black Mirror, which I just reckon is, if you guys haven't seen that or gone into that
It's
yet,
right up on my list at the moment. I haven't started
that
it
needs
yet.
to be number one. It's sensational.
Yeah.
Everything's a short movie, and just so many different ways that people have imagined the future going wrong. It's
Was
really
that the one
good.
you said was similar to like Twilight Zone sort of stuff? Was
Yeah.
that one?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
it's
haven't
got a
seen it.
feel.
I think
No,
Adam
definitely has a
mentioned
feel.
it,
You're describing it though, because I've heard heaps of good stuff. But it's right up on
Yeah,
my
good
list.
acting, great stories. It's got some just unbelievable ideas being thrown around, and just some things that'll make you like scream in your chair, and it's just really
I
good.
love chair squeaming. That's
Oh yeah, that's
Yeah,
it.
interesting list. Bit of everything there, mate.
Yeah, it's very eclectic.
Gibbo, you got anything about bums being stitched to mouths? Or?
No, mate, I steered a bit clear of that one. Did a little bit of volume though, because the wife and kids have been away camping, school holidays and stuff. So Daniel's had some free time. I watched American Assassin.
Oh, yeah.
Pretty
All
good.
right.
It's got a lot of The Recruit in it. If you ever saw that one
Yeah.
with what's his name, Colin Farrell and that stuff. It's very similar to that, but it's good. Yeah, it's definitely worth a look. I think Michael Keaton's really good in it.
Yeah, he's been great.
He's
A lot
pretty
of his
strong.
recent stuff.
The lead guy in it, I wasn't really familiar with. I think he's been in the Maze Runner movies, which I haven't bothered to watch because
No, I haven't seen them either yet.
doesn't look like anything I'd be interested in. He goes pretty well in it as well, and the story arc for it's pretty good. So definitely give it a check. I watched a couple of weird ones. I watched just because it's got Brian Gosling in it, and I just loved when he does these random like drama turns. He made one called Blue Valentine with Michelle Williams a while ago.
Yeah.
Don't watch it. Fucking boring, hey. It's basically all it is. It's like, oh look, when these people were young, they got together and they were really in love, and then she gets knocked up, and then it oscillates back and forth from their future where they don't love each other anymore, and they got this kid, and he's just a deadbeat, and there's just nothing happening. It's basically just like life, and
I think I'll skip it.
The bitterness of marriage.
it's well
Oh my
made,
God.
and what they're trying to do, they do well. There's just not enough there to be interesting. Like,
Yeah.
just didn't get it. Watched a documentary on the World's Strongest Man stuff, Born
Yes.
Strong.
They do not
Netflix?
eat enough.
That was on Netflix,
On Netflix,
wasn't it?
yeah. There's a couple of them on there. There's Eddie Strongman's another one too, with Eddie Hall on it.
Yeah.
He's in this with Bjorn, the Mountain, and
Yep.
the Lithuanian guy, Saviskus, and the American guy as well. So it basically concentrates on the four of them. There's a heaps more guys in it, but these were sort of like the four that could win it. And it's just sort of the arc of these guys working their way up to this Arnold Strongman tournament. It's a really good doco. It's pretty cool. Started watching The Good Place on Netflix with Riley. It's very strange. Have you watched it at all?
What's that one? What's that one?
It's
Is
Ted,
it the-
Ted Danson and
Oh yeah, I started watching that as well. Yeah.
It's
Kristen
pretty
Bell?
Kristen Bell. It's pretty interesting. It's very different, but
Yeah.
it's pretty funny. Like it's got some cool stuff in there. The transition from the first season to the second season, I'm just like, well, that's a different way to do it. I won't ruin it for anybody, but I don't know. It's definitely worth a look though because it is funny. Like,
Ted
Ted Danson's good. in it.
He's good in everything.
Yeah, and she's good in it, and there's some of the like ancillary characters are pretty cool in it as well.
Yeah.
And then I went a little bit more back into the movie realm. I watched the Fate of the Furious. Finally, I haven't seen that yet. Number 8. Mm-hmm. I think I'm out.
No good.
I mean, it's just the same shit. Like, look how big.
Is that the one with the wrecking ball and the
Yeah, the
submarine?
wrecking ball and the sub and stuff. Like, it's just
Sounds
so
great.
fucking stupid. But if we did a review on it, Dad said I'd just be picking holes in it left, right, and centre.
Yeah,
I get
of
you got to
course.
switch your brain off, but it's just I don't know, and I can't take any more.
Yeah,
Vin
the
Diesel.
brain's still there. There's something ticking.
I've had enough Vin Diesel in my lifetime. I'll just put it that way.
Yeah, so have I.
I watched
Not
the new-
enough rock, but Vin Diesel.
I watched the new Ghostbusters.
Yeah,
Just made me sad.
really?
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I didn't mind it that much.
I liked it.
I don't just it didn't like it's got these like fucking fluoro coloured ghosts flying around but it's still
Yeah.
trying to be scary. Like it needs to either be a kid's version or an adult version, but it's stuck in between. and it just I don't know. I didn't really laugh.
It wasn't a patch on the original, but it was kind of.
It just seems like one of those ones. It's just they've remade it because they knew they'd make money. And
yeah, look, there was cash in, and I feel like the all women casting was a little bit of a stunt in a way, but I thought it panned out all right, and it was also pretty important. I think it came at a time when that sort of stuff was at the forefront, so that's why I feel like it was a bit of a stunt.
I just think it worked.
But I thought like parts of it didn't work out, but I thought what's her name, Kate. Kate McKinnon. She was fantastic.
And Melissa McCarthy. Did I always get a little bit of a giggle for her?
Yeah. But the story wasn't all that crash.
The lady that was the ticket salesperson, she wasn't actually a scientist.
Yeah.
She just bugged the shit out of me. She was just yelling and being annoying the whole way through. Nothing was funny.
You're still hanging around me.
Huh?
You're still hanging around me.
You're annoying, but you're quiet. So I'll cop it. And then the last one I watched, which was only not last night, not before, I finally watched It.
Oh yeah,
I loved it so much.
Yeah.
Holy shit, man! People that are sad enough to listen to us would know I'm not really a horror movie person. That's one of my favourite movies I've seen in years.
Yeah,
it was so well done.
The extra money that it had over the TV series panned out in a lot of areas.
So much.
It made some of those things so much better.
Yeah. But just the whole.
I went back and watched the original.
Yeah, it's not good.
Well, yeah, I know, but because I hadn't seen it in so long, there were bits that I remember the exact lines in it, and just Tim Curry turning around and going, "Kiss me, fat boy." Well, I was walking around thinking it all day.
But with this, it felt like it was very similar to Stranger Things, which I don't think is probably an accident.
It's the same director.
Yeah, no, it's not the same director, but it was kind of. I think it was a little bit leaning cashing in a little bit on that nostalgia, and
it had to, but it really worked, and it just felt like they took it up a notch. But that whole aesthetic really works, and mate, just how well it was done. So there's probably 5 or 6 scenes in that where I had a full body tingle, this is fucking sketchy, and you just don't get that with most of the movies that they're making horrors these days. It's a lot more just blood and gore and jump scares, and this is a lot more making you. You're scared because of what you're thinking, not what you're seeing a lot of the time.
The Pennywise was very different, but it had its own sort of level of creepiness that did the job for me as well.
Well, straight out of the gate, the intro bit, and obviously won't go into
dribbling
details.
And stuff.
Yeah,
but when he's in the drain, which probably everyone's seen in the trailer, I didn't expect to happen what happened.
Yeah.
That was a shock for me.
Pretty hefty.
I'm holy shit! They've gone there straight off the bat. It's a little kid, man. So. Yeah, I loved it. Absolutely loved it.
Yeah, I'm sure it'll be. I'm sure we'll get onto that at some point. Probably do the double.
I can't really think of many movies I've watched this year, that came out this year, that I liked more than it.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it.
Things for me, for sure.
Well, that's it. If it didn't make money, they weren't going to make the sequel. So.
Oh yeah, well they have to. They have to.
It's
that ending
pretty much guaranteed. As soon as it had its opening weekend, they were like, "Yep, green light."
Get those kids on the phone. I just don't know how they're going to go with the cast, because the kids kind of make it. It's very Stranger Things in that way as well. That's
kind of where that was kind of the worst part of the original one too. When they got to the adults, it sort of all fell apart a little bit.
That's what I'm worried about. But whether or not they do a little bit of going back and forth, maybe.
Yeah, they might do a little bit of that.
John Ritter being so. You look so fantastic. Oh, he's still fat.
The kid from Stranger Things, I just loved his work.
He was excellent.
And Billy, I'm not sure the actor's name is, the kid with the stutter. He was good.
Yep.
And then the female, the 11 of the group.
Yes.
She was unreal.
Yeah.
I found her a little bit too Lolita in the it was a bit.
Oh,
I know
she's the chemist and stuff like that. Trying to use her,
and just her even her tanning, and the boys are checking her out.
Yeah, but that's what kids did back then. I remember being that kid. Oh, there's a lady over there. Oh,
that's a girl.
Ah, dear. Yes, moving on. Well, I've got a couple, not heaps, but I got onto Gotham Season 2, finally.
Jesus, why?
Well, it turned up on Netflix. I'm a Batman fan. I have to watch it. But, first season, I was a bit mixed. Well, you know what? Season 2, I've really enjoyed it. Season 1, I mean... Season 1, they were a bit confused about what was going on. I felt like they didn't really know what the show was going to be.
Me too.
Season 2, they just decided, we don't have Batman, so let's just make, take the villains and we'll just make our own versions of them and just throw everything at it. And so the second season, it's just it's loaded with that sort of stuff.
Now we have to finish the first season so I can watch the second season.
Yeah, well, there's kind of an underlying story at the moment that I'm not loving, but when they're bringing the villains in, I'm really liking it. The Riddler is so much better than season 1. Like, instead of just annoyingly rolling up to people and saying a riddle, he's actually kind of got this split personality thing going on now. So he'll be sitting there in the office, and his personality will be talking about, didn't you really enjoy what you just did, and kind of like needling at him, and he eventually just sort of caves to it. Yeah. So I'm
not as good as Jim Carrey's Riddler, obviously.
Well, hard to top, isn't it?
If he was method acting that Riddler, fuck.
I checked out the Bye Bye Man. I wasn't real pleased with it. It was all right. It's kind of like
really bad.
Yeah, it's kind of like a Candyman sort of thing. It was a horror movie that came out last year. It's got this really interesting idea behind it, but the problem was there's all these things that pop up in the movie, and nothing about him is ever explained. Nothing. And I kind of think you needed something. I get that they don't want to overdo things and don't want to do all this origin stuff if people aren't interested, but the thing with that was it had a short story. It was based on a short story. So I'm seeing these things in the movie and I'm like, I don't really know what this is. Then you get the short story and it explains everything. So I think you needed some of that in the movie. It relied on the jump scares and that sort of stuff, and they weren't all that effective. Yeah. I mean, the idea could work. It's essentially just like Candyman sort of stuff. But it had a few really nice twists. Like, he's got this sort of companion thing with him that you don't really know what it is, but it provides a couple of the creepy moments. And then again, when you read about it, you're kind of like, that could have really been sort of a bit interesting in the movie, but it was never broached. So I wasn't really pleased with it. But I'll probably if they do another one, I'll watch it. So.
Sometimes less is more with the not knowing what something's motivations are.
Yeah,
but if it's
definitely.
Not done
but
properly,
if there's
it
nothing,
can just be nothing.
Yeah, they do all these things. Like, there's coins. There's this thing with the coins. There's a train that keeps popping up, and they never connect it to anything in the movie. And then when you read about, I just read Wikipedia and like book reviews about the short story, it filled in everything. Mm-hmm. So the fact that you got nothing in the movie, I thought was a bit of a problem. Yeah. But yeah, it's well, I don't know.
Is that the goal? The goal's meant to make it a cult classic as opposed to a good movie?
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. So I went back with this gentleman beside me. I went and saw Jumanji, the Welcome to the Jungle, but I watched the original before we went and saw it as well. So yeah, that was good to go down memory lane. But I really liked the new one.
The new one's getting really good reviews.
Yeah, it was kind of. It knew exactly what it needed to be. It was just,
about to say, it is what it is.
Yeah.
But it's pretty good.
You get the setup there. The Rock is just the Rock, making a few quips here and there. Kevin Hart just needs to be in those supporting roles because he was fine in that role. Got a few lights.
The right amount of Kevin Hart.
Yeah, Jack Black was pretty good. Karen Gillan, she's really good. Yeah. So
good to look at and listen to.
Yeah, I was a fan. I really enjoyed it.
Nebula.
I watched The Autopsy of Jane Doe on Netflix.
Is that good?
Yeah, really, really interesting. It's not one of my absolute favourites, but it's got this little sort of twist and. Just really interesting. It starts with a really interesting relationship between Brian Cox and his son. They're the mortuary sort of whatever you call them attendants. They're doing there you go, nailed it. They're doing the autopsy on this girl, and they start with this thing about how Brian Cox's wife's dead and he's kind of lonely, but his son doesn't want to be in this profession and is kind of breaking away from it. So. Yeah, those characters have got a bit of depth, but then the kicker about what's happening with this girl is, I didn't see it coming. It came from a mile off, and I was just sort of, when it hit, I was like, yeah, that's a pretty cool idea. So, yeah, I would check it out. Bates Motel, season 4, finished it. Loving it, absolutely loving it. I'm itching to get season 5, but Netflix don't have it. So I said to Matty, I think I might go and get the DVDs, which guaranteed means Netflix will put it on the next day.
Yeah, 100%. I've done that before.
But it's sort of... The way that they've gone from season 1 to season 4, where initially you kind of feel sorry for Norman and his mother's overbearing and all this sort of stuff, to season 4, it's completely flipped and he's just despicable and you know, it's the way that it explores his deteriorating mental state is really entertaining. Like, I'm not going to go into the ins and outs of whether it's all like legit. I'm pretty sure it's
totally
not.
gives him a green light, Jared.
But
Everything he does is fine.
Yeah, but it's interesting to watch. It's entertaining to watch. Good performances. That Freddie Highmore is just awesome. He's really, really good. And I've heard he's really great in The Good Doctor as well, which I haven't seen yet, but I'd probably watch it just on the back of his performance in this. And the last one I checked out was, again, with Matty. We went and saw The Shape of Water, which was... I can't compare it to anything I've ever really seen, but it was really
it's
good.
got a lot of Oscar buzz, and then some people said they didn't like it at all, but like the other movie reviews I listened to said they loved it.
I'm still thinking about it. Like, it was a really good movie, great actors, good comedy in it.
Thought-provoking, like...
How'd you rate the sex scene?
Well, yeah. It was a little bit uncomfortable.
That's been the main knock I've heard on it. I haven't seen it yet, but yeah, everyone keeps mentioning her intimate moment, to put it that way.
Yeah.
Seems strange.
It's funny because you like, ugh, but then you know, like
That's not what the
kind of where
movie's
it's
about,
going.
though.
Yeah, exactly.
That's not what it's about. If you're focusing on that, you need to get out more. Like
Yeah. No, I would definitely recommend checking it out. Michael Shannon is just... He's got to be one of my favourite actors, but he does a lot of stuff that I'm not into. So when I get an opportunity like this to watch him in a movie and really like it, he's such a good actor to watch.
So creepy, hey?
Yeah, he's creepy as. He's got some moments in this, like there's this stuff going on with his fingers, and Matty was like, can attest that there was one part that he's going on with his fingers and he just does this thing, and I was like, I was curled up in the seat, like, I don't want to see that.
Squeezing the pus out of his giant fingers.
Oh, nice.
It was gross, but yeah, it's a really, really good movie.
With all the horror movies this guy's seen,
it was just the fingers. It was the yeah. That was what got me. So yeah, that's fairly. That's me covered. Actually, there's one more thing. I finally got around to reading Ready Player One because the new trailer for that one dropped. I think it's due in about 2 months. So I'm really looking forward to that movie. I think it's another one that's trading on a lot of nostalgia and your knowledge of pop culture from the 80s and stuff like that. But
works for me.
Yeah, the movie's going to be very different. There's things in the trailer that seem like it's going to make major differences to when characters meet up and how it all plays out, but I'm really keen to check that one out.
Yeah, nice.
All right, so here's the trailer for Turbo Kid.
I will destroy you with my turbo glove, the ultimate weapon against the robot threat. But to be a true hero, you'll have to save your girlfriend.
Hey, what's that in your hand?
It's a comic book.
What's it about?
It's about Turbo Rider.
That's rad.
I always wonder what the other side looked like.
It's kind of gray and dusty. Well, I could show you.
Around here, we like to do things with a little more joie de vivre.
Where is she? Release the girl.
This is gonna get ugly.
As you may know, the situation is critical. We have reached maximum casualty level.
Who exactly are you supposed to be?
Turbo Rider.
This is it, soldier. We have to hit these sound machines with everything we've got.
Find them, kill them, and knee back their heads on pikes.
I'm meeting up with an old mate. We're going straight to Zeus. What do you say? Let's roll. The fate of our future is in your hand.
I wish I could have been more like the real Turbo Rider.
But you could totally be Turbo Kid.
Turbo Kid from 2015 was written and directed by Francois Simard, Anouk Wissel, and Jon Carl Wissel.
Nailed it.
Well done.
I guess. We'll just have to hope so, I guess. Was produced by Benoit Bailieu, Anne-Marie Gelinar, Tim Riley, and Ant Timpson. I really couldn't find a great deal that any of those people have done otherwise.
Yep. Well, the group that's directed it, they call themselves the Roadkill Superstars or something like that, RKSS, and they've got another one that's just hitting the.
I saw they've got something for 2018 coming up. Yeah,
there's one hitting the what do you call it? The festival circuit. Like I think it might be at Sundance, and it's called Summer of '84.
Yep.
It looks like a bit of a slasher kind of murder mystery.
It was more of a crime.
Bit of Stranger Things thing again. So yeah, it looks pretty cool. The trailer's just hit.
Well, this one killed at Sundance apparently. Like was very well received. Which I mean, it doesn't strike me as like a movie festival kind of movie. But it was starring Munro Chambers as the kid, Lawrence LeBoeuf as Apple, Michael Ironside in just like a Michael Ironside role as Zeus, Edwin Wright as Skeletron, and Aaron Jeffrey as Frederick the Arm Wrestler. I could not find much info on a budget, and then the only box office, I think it must have had a very limited release.
That's it. Adam's going to you're sacked when you get back.
I know. No, that's it. Try and do a less obvious movie next time, Jared. This is obviously made in someone's shed. So it had only box office info I could find was it made maybe around the 50K mark, but yeah, in terms of budget, there just wasn't anything there. So that was pretty much it for the movie info. Not a great deal of trivia available either, unfortunately. I think the second lead, Laurence Leboeuf, she's actually had a pretty big career in France. So there's actually a lot of movies on her resume, but not one that I'd heard of. So I left them out.
Excellent.
Other than that, obviously Michael Ironside, big guy. Like everyone remembers him from Top Gun. That's about it.
All right. So general thoughts, Gibbo. Continue on, mate.
Yeah. Well, Jared's idea to watch this movie. It's a very strange movie.
I'm taking credit.
I
Definitely my call.
I definitely enjoyed parts of the movie. Like, I wasn't sure what to expect. Like Turbo Kid, I'm like, this is going to be one thing, and then it starts and it's very different to what you think.
Yep.
Some of the comedic stuff in it is just brilliant, though.
Yeah.
The writing and just the little nuanced stuff that they do, especially even some things in the background, and like something will be happening in the foreground, you see things in the back, and it's very funny, but it's just such a weird movie. You never know what's going to happen next. Like, someone will be just cruising along, and then all of a sudden they got fucking splattered, and there's blood flying everywhere, and bits and pieces. And but I definitely had fun with it. It's just you just never really get to settle into what you know is going to happen next. But I'd probably give it maybe a 3. I'd say 3 stars.
Oh, I thought you were going to be lower, so that's a win.
No, I like the movie, man. It's not something I would ever have watched until you said, "Hey, you've got to watch this."
Yep.
But yeah, like it's a good time. I giggled a bunch of times. I was just like, this is so stupid, but bloody hell, it's funny. And for what they were working with, like I couldn't even find a budget, so I think they made it with maybe.
Yeah, it wasn't big.
No, just like a packet of Twisties and maybe a couple some Monopoly money or something like that.
I think the catering van was a BMX as well.
They did really well with what they had. So no, I had a good time. It's just I think the only reason it doesn't probably score higher is because it didn't have a budget or the production.
Yeah,
you'd sort of hope for that sort of thing. But if you'd given them a lot more money, they probably could have done really good things with it.
There you go, Matty.
I really enjoyed this. I was like, I felt like it was Sergio Rodriguez had pictured the Warriors and reshot Napoleon Dynamite. I just found
have a lot of that.
It just felt like the characters had a lot of depth. The setting was hilarious, and you've got the comedy of people riding around on bikes, but they look like Raiden from Mortal Kombat. It was just the best. I was smiling throughout the whole thing. I wasn't, like you said, I wasn't quite sure where it was going to go, and didn't care. I was just happy to sit back and enjoy it. I really, really, really enjoyed it. And let's be honest, my movie pedigree is not necessarily the things that I like, and not quite what everybody else does. Hence
Mate, you're here for a reason. No one here likes good movies.
So I've really enjoyed it. I give it a 4.
Oh, well, well, as you said, it was my pick.
That doesn't necessarily mean you liked it.
No, well,
picked plenty of shit before.
That's true. That's very true. No, it was funny. I thought, should we do this? Because in a way, it's not really an action movie, but then definitely is in parts. Like
also, no one else has seen it, so.
Well, yeah, it's kind of gone a little bit unnoticed in some circles, but I watched it. Like I waited for it to come out for ages because I saw it on a website that was touting it after a festival that had seen it, like Fantastic Fest or something like that. And so I thought, this sounds. I heard Mad Max, but on BMXs, and I was like, that's enough to get me. Actually.
That's all.
But then when I actually saw it, it was a lot different, but even kind of better than I imagined it was. And Matty mentioned earlier when we were talking about it, it taps into all this stuff that, like when you're a kid, you watch some of these movies. Like I'd be watching Mad Max, and I'd be watching things like the Henderson Kids and BMX Bandits as well, where they are cruising around on BMXs, and it kind of mixes all that up. But then the cherry on top is, the people that watch that stuff are adults now, so we're just going to splatter people on screen and go over the top with the gore. It had kind of like an Army of Darkness kind of vibe with the gore. Obviously, the dude with the hand as well. Like you can see tinges of so many movies, and you could call it derivative, definitely. But fuck, it's fun. It's such a good movie.
It's just really well put together, though. Like,
it's one of my absolute favourites from the last few years, to be honest. So, like I want to say that the sensible person in me would probably give it a 3.5 tops, but I'm going to a 4 because I just love it. It's definitely I reckon it's probably one of my top 10 of the last couple of years for sure.
Jesus.
I just love it.
I had very low expectations. The picture, the promotional picture just looks like it's a 1980s kids movie.
Yeah.
And then I was like, oh, MA. And then people just getting smashed. And
Is it only MA? That's actually crazy.
Yeah.
It should be way worse.
so comical, though. The amount of blood, the jaws just get drop off. Like
It's kind of like it's a little bit like Kill Bill-ish though, with like the manga, like with the blood and stuff. And Kill Bill wasn't MA, was it? Had to have been R.
Maybe it was. I think the second one was R. The first one was MA.
I think it might have been MA.
Jesus, what's wrong with the world?
All right, well, let's get straight into it. The likes. My like came before the movie had even started, was that epic Pix intro with the big #1 in Laserdisc sales. Yeah, first laugh of the movie before the movie's actually even rolling.
So good. Everyone wants to be #1 in Laserdisc.
It just kind of set the tone too. Like it sort of like immediately showed you what you were in for. You're like, okay, so they're not going to take it super serious. They're happy to have a bit of a laugh at it.
Is that like a head nod to Tarantino? Is the Grindhouse
I think it's definitely in that sort of vein, yeah.
But there was also like 20 different like companies that got credited before anything ever happened, and then it's just like Canada, like the country got to start. It's like wow.
Yep. It was a Canada New Zealand joint production or something like that.
Yeah.
Really strange, but they both both can turn out decent pictures. So
yeah, absolutely.
Straight off as soon as you're into it, the soundtrack just hits you.
Yeah.
I loved the soundtrack. Loved it. I mean, it's got, again, you can say it's derivative because it sounds just like John Carpenter and that sort of thing, but it just sort of nails it the whole way through. It kind of it gets the exciting parts when it needs to, and then when the bad guys come, it sort of drops down and gets these little. The only thing about it is sometimes you could have probably said that they could have cut the music out. It was just constant.
It was there all the time, yeah.
They did it at one point, and it just felt, as a joke, I thought it was part of it. Like, had less music, and it was just them riding their asses off.
Yeah.
It was comical.
I actually, it was the same group, I think, that did the entire score, and then they actually released a film clip that was like a prequel with Apple. So you find out in the film clip. So it leads up to all that, which is kind of funny. And the prequel, it had these bad guys in it that I was sort of like, I'd watch them in a movie too. I don't know. Maybe they'll explore something like that for the sequel because I know they've already said there's going to be a sequel. So. The other thing too with the music is Stan Bush got a run. That Thunder in Your Heart song.
I love it, and it's Transformers. It's so good.
I was sitting there thinking, where have I heard this before? And then I was like, Stan Bush and like the Transformers.
I didn't realise that was him. I was like, this sounds just like it's out of Transformers.
Yeah, but you know what? I was sitting there and I'm like, I've heard this exact song and I can't remember where it's from. It's from that classic Carlton Draft beer ad where the guys are getting chased by the cops, but no, it's like a car chase, but no one's in cars. They're running after each other with beers in their hand.
Yeah.
Which was one of the all-time great ads on Australian
Those
TV.
draft runs were so good.
I'll have to link that one on the Facebook page because it's a cracker.
Absolutely.
I thought. Well, moving on to the next one. The effects were hit and miss, but the prosthetic side of it, I thought they were all right. When fountains of blood were going off, they looked as they should, as I'd imagine a fountain of blood.
Camouflaged everything with just sheer volume of blood.
Yeah,
like you can't
pretty
see
much.
how bad what's behind this is because there's just a curtain of red stuff coming out.
Yeah,
That's right.
But that was there. It was perfect for this movie. It worked out just fine. That intro though, so
talk about seeing the scene, like you got the music coming in, and this kid's on a BMX and he's just jumping up doing these little like tricks off like hills and stuff. I'm like,
3 feet
what
of
the
air.
fuck is
3
going
feet of
on
air.
here this time?
I was watching it and I'm just like picking out the parts going, Gibbo's going to fucking hate me. He's going to tear into this. He's going to absolutely hate it.
No, because it knows what it is. If it was trying to be serious, it would have been a pile of shit. But it knows what it is and it's happy about it. And that as long as you can embrace that, that's fine. Like, it's fun.
And I think it did it well. It really did embrace
sure.
it. Embraced what it was.
I'm quite positive I had a set of those rainbow knee pads and
Did
arm
you
pads.
Everybody did, man.
I didn't even get the board fast enough to hurt myself if I fell off it, but I had those rainbow knee pads.
Is Turbo Rider a thing?
No, it's made for this.
Good, because that's a stupid name.
Yeah.
Turbo Rider, yeah.
Turbo Kid, on the other hand.
Turbo Kid is good. That could definitely work. I had one little giggle pretty early on when they're at the bar scene. I think it's the guy that does the trading, like he buys black market stuff. And they're just sort of sitting there and he just starts yelling at the old bloke because the music stops. And
that's
hands
right.
over and there's a bloke that looks like Mickey Rooney riding a push bike to generate electricity. I laughed at that.
And he looked so fucking sad when the bloke's like, telling him to get going. He was so like upset.
That bloke's in the 60s in the shade. He dead set look like Mickey Rooney though, and I'm just pissing myself laughing.
Yeah, that was quality.
That's I like that whole status thing at the beginning. Like you try to look for, I guess if they haven't got cars, so obviously how nice their helmet looks is their status, and I thought that was kind of cool.
When they're
as
riding
well.
one of those really old little tricycles, or if they're riding like an actual push bike. Or...
Yeah, absolutely. That's where your status is. So it's kind of funny.
I thought the design of the costumes in general was pretty good. Again, derivative, definitely taking bits of Mad Max and the Warriors and stuff like that, but especially Skeletron. I thought he was awesome. The way that he looked was really good. The design for Turbo Kid was pretty cool. All of it in general, even Michael Ironside, it was just slap an eye patch on him, but did the job.
But again, I felt like just sort of because there was nothing in this world, they were just slapping together these outfits that again made them look like a certain person. But you're just like, what is he dressed in that for?
Yeah, exactly. And he was like, he had the jacket and the cane, and like nobody else had
golf club.
The golf club. That's right, the golf club cane, and nobody else had that sort of stuff. So I was like, I get what you're saying, but it just the whole movie just had this style about it that carried all the way through, which I quite enjoyed. The cast was surprisingly good as well for a cheap movie.
Yeah.
Probably what happens when you cast a 27-year-old and a 35-year-old to be teenagers.
Exactly. I was going to say she was like 30. Was it her? Yeah, she was like 34, 35 when it was done. So, but she especially is fantastic. That the apple roll could have just gone so pear-shaped.
Yeah.
But she just nailed it. There was some of those lines that she was delivering and stuff, and I'm thinking someone else that wasn't quite as good could have really screwed this whole movie up with that character.
Yeah.
But
just the little ticks that she has and stuff. Like before you even know she's a robot, she's just really interesting just to watch what she's doing.
Yeah.
Like just because she's obviously fucking loopy as shit, but you don't know why at that point. But you're just sort of watching her face the whole time, going, "What is the go with this chick?"
Yeah.
She's got the capacity to turn into the craziness, and that's what we introduced when we meet her.
Yeah.
And there's the corpse on the body, and she's like, "I own you now. I'm going to be your friend." Oh fuck.
That was such a good intro because it was kind of like this is kind of messed up, but she, as you said, she's kind of magnetic in a way. But she ends up being like the heart of the whole thing.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
But even like Michael Ironside is just spot on. He's hamming it when it needs to be hammed. Like you can tell he's just loving it. Like he's just putting out there these hammy lines and he's kind of delivering them with glee and kind of doing his little giggle and. But I actually really liked Munro Chambers as well. I've never seen him in anything else, but I thought
that's because he hasn't done anything else.
Yeah, well,
I think he had one other credit, and it was like not really anything.
He's done all his stuff in Canada too, hasn't he?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Yeah, but I could definitely do with seeing a few of those actors.
He has a boyish face. Like he looks young.
Yeah, he does
look
look young.
Like 16 at best.
And they same deal with her, like because they put all the makeup on her and that sort of stuff. Like, there was no way. I watched it and I was shocked when I found out she was in her 30s.
Yeah. Well, I watched a couple because I was trying to figure out who she was and like if she'd like mostly French films she's done, but like full on like properly like pretty good sort of movies. And I only watched clips and stuff, but she's a a good actress. Like,
Yep.
she's decent. And her accent, like, you don't really get any, like, she's French.
Yeah.
And she does really well with the English in this.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I'm assuming she
Did not know that, so she fooled me.
No, that's what I mean. Like, it's really. I'm assuming she's been speaking English a lot, but most of her films that I could find were like actually French speaking. So
Yeah.
there wasn't even like you usually get a little bit of a tinge in there, and she did a really good job with it.
Yeah.
The even Aaron Jeffrey, like obviously
Wasn't
he's
he
He was great.
McLeod's
Daughters,
Yeah.
yeah. And the other
even
thing
go
that
a
I
week
He was
into it.
the Clint Eastwood version of Gibbo. I thought.
Thanks, mate. I'll take that.
But he also, like, because I never thought he was a great actor.
He's not.
It's like he's just a decent dude, do the job. But the scenes with him and Michael Ironside worked really well because he was delivering the quips and he was doing them in that kind of, he was playing with them too, doing them in that low sort of, you look like you've only got one eye on it to me or whatever. But Ironside was hamming it up as well. So the scenes where those two are going back
Bouncing
and
off
forth,
each other.
they were awesome. They were so good. They were just taking the piss out of the quips and the mustache twirling villain, and I really enjoyed them together.
His flood of swearing was like unexpected, but it was so entertaining.
Yeah, but he did a good
so
job at it. I was going to say he's a really good swearer. He can drop an F-bomb with anyone, to be honest.
Yeah.
Just shove it up your ass.
Hurry the fuck up.
I just laughed thinking about him talking. It was so good.
Yeah, at first I didn't, because I think he was a Kiwi. He's actually a Kiwi.
Okay.
But then obviously in McLeod's Daughters and that, I think he was playing Australian roles. So when he was in this, I'm kind of like, I'm hearing a little bit of the Kiwi, but I think he's playing an Australian because he seems to have an Akubra hat.
Yeah.
I was a little bit confused, but I was appreciative of what he was doing by the end of the movie.
Everyone's a little bit amorphous in this. They could all be from anywhere, really.
Yeah, absolutely. Just that introduction of him though, just doing the arm wrestle again to for that status, like I own you now, I've beaten you in an arm wrestle. He's got the greatest arm in town. Like, I loved it.
And then
There's the payoff though. Like if you win the arm wrestle, the other guy gets like a little fan that gets like blended into his hand. It really gives you some incentive to not lose.
Yeah, that was good. It kind of took when him and when Ironside catches him and he says you're gonna arm wrestle and then he puts the blenders on either side. I was like, this is so fucking ridiculous, but.
I love it.
I'm kind of I'm like, I hope he doesn't get blended. They had that. It was sort of like that Mad Max element, that post-apocalyptic. We do what we've got, but here's a couple of blenders. Like it's just sort of so stupid, but worked, and that was kind of the movie the whole way through. Really,
right.
they just nailed that sort of stuff.
It's like they've left the kids in charge. It's just it's so odd.
Once the violence kicks in,
it really kicks in.
Just fucking insane. Like because. It's quite. I think it's about half an hour before he ends up having the stoush with the bloke that looks like Raiden, isn't it?
Yeah.
Or maybe even longer.
Maybe.
And prior to that, you get a little bit.
Yeah, with Ironside and stuff.
He just turns that bloke into a fucking smoothie. It's just that was so like it was. So, when I first watched it, I so wasn't expecting that. So I thought when that laser thing went off, it was just gonna like blast him and like burn his chest or whatever, and then he falls down. Like,
Power Ranger.
He just
You've been conditioned.
He was just gone. By the end of it.
Just disintegrates.
So good, and it goes with that for the rest of the movie. And like I said, it's kind of the cherry on top for you're getting that nostalgia kick, but then you're getting that. It's kind of like GTA almost. It's over the top violence that you kind of can't help but laugh at. But you know what I mean? It's like that parody kind of element to it, and so people are just getting eviscerated on the screen in front of you, and you're just laughing your head off.
Yeah, that's right. And it's so gratuitous that it gives him the opportunity to do different things. So like my favourite kill in the movie was the umbrella. He just comes out of nowhere.
That's right.
He's shoved the umbrella into the bad guy. You're glad he's killing him, and then opened it up.
And then he yielded himself in the rain of blood,
and then turned it into a romantic moment. Unbelievable. But that's the world that they're living in.
I had a lot of the kills as specific likes, but my first favourite one was when they're taking the arm wrestler bloke and one of his little henchmen taking a piss.
Yeah.
And then old mate with the razor blade in these arms shoots it across, and the dude falls down next to him, and his piss fountain's going up in the air, and he's laying on the ground dead. He's dead. And he's just got this little, and he looks over and he's like, fuck. Like, not even panicked at all.
Yeah.
But there was heaps of the deaths were like specific likes for sure. But that was the first good one. I'm like, I'm gonna really love some of these.
I think my favourite was after Aaron Jeffrey says the line about a man doesn't know how strong he is until he has to be, or something like that, and then Turbo Kid kind of looks at him and then just goes, yeah, and runs at that bloke and fucking slices the top of his head.
Like
and
a
then
boiled egg.
Eyes, throat, nuts.
And then he kicks him in the nuts after he's cut his throat.
Chopped half his head off.
I was laughing so hard at that. Even like I was laughing so hard that I even overlooked the fact. I'm like, why was the guy turned around?
Facing the
Why
wrong
was he
way.
facing the wrong way? But anyway, it did the job. But yeah, so many of those fight scenes. The one in the pool
Yeah,
where the
I love
guy's
that.
behind him and the thing charges up and he blows his head. Oh man,
The unicorn was notable.
On the bike.
Yeah.
so
was
many
good.
of them
It
were
was
just
graphic.
stand out. They kind of you can tell they made this effort to make every single one of those. They wanted you to be telling you, mate, oh, you got to see this one because this particular guy gets instead of just everyone
Oh,
gets
they're all
turned into.
individual deaths. Like, unless, other than the laser glove thing, where they all just fucking turn into puddles.
Yeah.
Saw 27 is going to definitely steal some of these kills.
And I was even like that. They got the tone so right that instead of looking at that at the end of it where the fucking bodies are stacked up on top of those guys, instead of looking at that going, this is so stupid, I was just like, this movie could not have gone any other way. And a stack of bodies piled up on top of a
And
person.
for some reason, that bloke not pulling his head out of that guy's guts. Like, why wouldn't you just bend over and let it fall off? No, he's trying to look around as if he should be able to see.
Oh man, but just talking about this, I just want to go inside and watch the movie again. God, I love it so
We
much.
should do a group watch. It'd be one because I watched it by myself. It'd be a great movie to watch, having a few beers or something, just get your giggle on.
Yeah,
Oh, man.
getting another one of the highlight moments was again. I think Aaron Jeffrey in that pool bit gets everyone fired up, so they start fighting, and Apple goes in and shows that she can blow a bit. So then that guy gets all brave and trips. Oh man, so funny! Just that right little, just
Is that the one
enough.
he puts in his own eye?
Yeah, just enough comedy to sort of top everything. Again, it was just unexpected. Yeah, just perfect.
But that's the thing in this movie. Nothing ever goes to plan, but they always end up on top. It's just, it's just one of those things that
We talked a little
keep
bit.
going.
We talked a little bit about everyone being on bikes for reasons. I'm guessing there's obviously no fuel, no cars, that sort of stuff.
Yep.
But the fact that they're all riding around in gangs trying to be like tough, and like Aaron Jeffrey's on this little like kid scooter with like a little sidecar, and he's like, "Yeah, I'm a badass." But then he pulls up, and he's like, like squeaky wheels, and they pull up and do like a little skid, and
Just added to the comedy.
every time you see him, it's just a joke.
Aaron
first-
Jeffries is driving away from a robot graveyard with a nuclear weapon in the back of his trike.
Yeah, exactly.
that's
It's
all right.
gold.
It's sort of like the fact that no one's got like a mountain bike or anything. They're all just on the little BMXs, but again, I was laughing when that first chase scene kicked in with the Raiden dude, and they're cutting to all these different shots, like long shot, close up, and then one in the back, so you can see how how intense this
BMX
chase is. But then if I take this music out, it's just a picture of two dudes
Riding a bike.
going very slowly, cut very quickly to make it more exciting. But again, it's just sort of. It makes you laugh while simultaneously being kind of exciting enough to.
That's right.
Yeah, I just love it. The big fight at the end was just awesome. Like, I reckon it lasts for about 15 minutes all
10 to
up by the
15
time they
minutes,
get
for sure.
there. And it's just sort of, it's pretty spectacular the whole way. As we kind of mentioned earlier, all the kills try to be a little bit different. So even when they're in, they're surrounded by all these guys, they're trying to do these... you're getting these little bits and pieces that are very memorable as you go along.
Turbo Kid does a great job because the arm wrestler, he's actually been able to handle himself. And then Turbo Kid, a lot of his kills are complete accidents.
Yeah.
Where he gets out of the way and old mate stabs his friend in with the guts of the shovel and just deflecting things by accident and killing other people. That fight, did it remind anyone else of Anchorman 2? Fight at all?
A little bit.
You're not going like, and like,
Just without
it's not a good thing, but it's all. This is way better than that.
Yeah. Just without the lines of, things escalating. Well, oh, no, that was Anchorman 1, wasn't it? That was the fight in Anchorman 1, but he said the escalating.
Oh, that escalated quickly, yeah.
Yeah.
But you mentioned earlier too the body stack death. When that first happened, and the torso goes up and lands on the other guy's head, and then later on the legs of the same torso end up on someone else's, and then they stack them later on.
It was like a Christmas tree.
You'll never see that in any other movie. It's like you said, it works for some reason.
They can get away with it.
Yeah. That's a testament to how entertaining this is, that you don't sort of look at that and go.
But the same thing, in the same token, they've done things in there to make you like really love these characters. The fact that he's like collecting all of these things that he's like holds precious, and like apple popping off the exploding confetti and just like standing in wonderment. You just really love these characters. It's, I don't know. So you're quite happy to let the other stuff go.
Yeah, exactly. They've definitely given it plenty of heart with those characters. And now there was a lot of lines that I liked, but I don't know why. But my favourite was when Michael Ironside. I think it's when he kills Turbo Kid's dad, and he says, "Such a rude individual." I was like,
evil.
I think it's. I don't know whether it's because I think my mum used to use the term "rude individual."
I've definitely heard him say that a few times.
So now I kind of like in this to see Michael Ironside blow someone away with a gun and then give it such a rude individual. I was just like,
He says it at the end too.
Does he?
About someone else, yeah. He must be a callback.
Maybe that's where it was. I can't remember exactly where it was.
It near the end, I'm like, well, that's a weird thing to say when you just killed somebody. Yeah.
So I'm down to my last one, and that was the Zeus being a robot twist. It's just like after what we'd seen throughout, you could have probably seen some of it coming.
Yeah.
But when it happened, I was just didn't even think about it.
I wondered why he didn't explode into a pool of blood when he got hit.
I had that as a dislike straight off the bat. I'm like, why is everyone else? And then when and I had to delete it because I'm like, oh, he's a robot.
Yeah. So I didn't even consider it, even though it was it was quite up front.
It's probably the most obvious twist that they could have had in there.
Yep.
I really enjoyed that monologue where he's talking about how he killed the previous version of him and how much disdain he has for humans. You're just like, all right, that makes sense why he's like trying to reorchestrate everything in the pool and that sort of stuff.
Doesn't explain why he's trying to purify humans into water though when he doesn't need water.
Well,
that's how he maintains his power.
Yeah, that was one, but it also explained. I was sitting there going, "Who the fuck made this machine to make the water out of humans?" And then when he's describing that he's the robot, and then he's talking about how he's smarter than Apple and all that sort of stuff, I was like, yeah, probably could have made that machine. He's got the capacity to do that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it just came. As you said, some people probably would have seen it and picked it, but when I was watching I just got lost in the movie. So when it happened, I was like, wow.
Like you said, there's 15 minutes of people getting exploded.
Yeah. I was just expecting them to cut a swath through those guys and then gotcha, bang.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, it worked. It worked pretty well in that regard for me. Anything else?
There's lots of specific ones, but it was all like lines and individual moments. It's like, to be honest, people should just watch it.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, even if it's not your thing, just watch it because it's so different. It's its own thing.
Yep.
Thinking about it more, I'm thinking I might have gone a bit low on the 3.
Well, we're into the dislikes now, so you might be able to bring yourself back a little bit.
Down, yeah.
So my initial dislike, the digital effects.
Oh yeah, well,
a little bit shaky at times, and sometimes you can't sort of. When a movie's got a smaller budget as this seemingly did, it's hard to pick on them for something like that because they did cover up. I thought there was digital blood at times, but they mixed it in with the prosthetics, so they masked that pretty well. But occasionally, when they show the shots of the sky and
I thought the cloud effect was pretty cool.
Well, I looked at that and I thought it looked like an episode of Power Rangers or something. So I was sort of
probably on purpose, though. Probably on purpose. Though.
Yeah, that's true. I didn't think that it could have been on purpose, but yeah, that's sort of. Yeah, it was one of the few things in the whole movie that showed the budget might have not been quite there.
There was another thing.
Okay.
That fucking rat.
Oh yeah.
That pissed me. I'm like, that's clearly just a bit of selling. This is shit.
It looked like what's his name from the Ferals, Rattus. Yes. It looks like Rattus had lost his fur. And the other
like
thing
it should be sitting on Jabba the Hutt.
It just when it jumps out of the thing, he's clearly just holding it and shaking it to make it move its little wobbly arms around it. That took me out of it a bit.
When he did that, the only thing I was thinking was Reanimator. The bit where Jeffrey Combs is running around the room with a little piece of fur on his back, trying to make it look like it's alive.
Yeah.
That you're right.
And again, you can't hold it against them. Like it's not like they're going to CGI in a rat or have like a robot rat made up for it. But It was just so obviously not
Yes, I actually did kind of overlook that because I looked at that rat and went, "Ooh, that looks terrible."
I was laughing at him smashing it with a hammer. I was
that's right. And then finding the other hammer, double
hammer.
Which I like. They brought that back at the end because the guys turned them into nunchucks. That was
what's better than one hammer?
That was great. Two of them.
Turbo Kid or Turbo Rider, like in this environment, like Turbo Rider probably not so much, but in this environment, wouldn't it serve you to be a little bit camouflaged? Not riding around in bright red everywhere?
Yeah, probably.
He had the glove at that point.
I was going to say...
No, but even beforehand, though.
Yeah, I guess he had the helmet, yeah,
fair enough. He was bright red. I'm like, mate, you're trying to hide. Like, he's clearly got his little lair underground.
It's a matter of being caught in that world. Like, if they're chasing you on bikes, you get by.
But if you see someone in the distance, you want to be able to hide. Like, if you're wearing a stop sign, like... Yeah.
No, you want to be on the tracks, because otherwise you'll encounter all the rats that are in the field, mate.
Speaking of Turbo Rider, though, when he stumbles on the Turbo Rider, why is he real? Isn't he a comic book character? I didn't get... Yeah. And that never sort of does anything with that. It just says, like, oh, here, have this power.
I didn't... I was the same. I was like, there was never any explanation that these Turbo Riders were real things. So when he stumbled onto it, I was kind of a bit like, it's super sort of... Convenient. But, once that was passed... I let the movie just wash over me.
I wanted him to have it was it's just a silly way to do it.
Yeah, well, it sort of feeds into one of my dislikes too. Is that the story is really cut and dry, and I mean, I sort of expect it for what it is, and they paper over a lot of it with the good acting performances and the excitement of the whole thing. But I mean, at the end of the day, it's just a kid gets his parents killed, makes a robot friend and takes revenge, and a large friend with a metal hand, but
learns some bravery along the way.
Yeah, exactly. Learns that he can be, he can be a man. Basically, like it's very cut and dry. So it kind of felt like that Turbo Kid bit, that finding the Turbo Rider was just sort of like, let's get this out of the way and just get into it.
Yeah, because he just falls in and then he does that and then he's just out and it never gets referenced again. There's no explanation.
Even the convenience of falling into the little pit, I was just like, I'm okay with that because that's the sort of movie we got here.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was a bit miffed too by the whole "this is real" thing.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Interesting.
When as you called them, the Raiden guys, sort of ambush him, and then they're kidnapping. And at this point, like he's not in love with her at this point or anything, but he's clearly like taking a bit of a shine to her. He just bails. Yeah. I'm like, come on, mate! Like you got to at least have a crack at trying to save her. I thought that wasn't the best character moment for him.
Well, that's it. He sort of figures out that as the movie goes on, he doesn't want to be alone anymore.
Yeah, it sort of goes on. Yeah, it sort of fits the character that he's not. He's sticking to the shadows, not the shadows, but he's out of people's ways and sticking to the fringes.
I feel like his parents taught him that when he was a little kid, and he's stuck with that. But now he's sort of growing up and realised he's got urges and
and he finally had a reason to do it. So
that's also the bit that leads into stumbling onto Turbo Rider.
Rider, exactly.
They kind of needed it, I guess.
Yep. The name Apple.
It was a bit of a...
It kind of gives it away. Yeah, as soon as she's acting a bit crazy.
Should have just called her iPad and been done.
Yeah, exactly. In the modern sort of climate of what Apple means, as soon as she said Apple, you were like, oh, that's why.
Especially with the blue, the way how she looks. I was just
pale face and everything.
And she was that sort of not when he first, but when she comes down and she's got the little tracker on him and stuff.
Yeah,
I'm like, this chick's a robot. Straight away, like a companion robot or something like that.
Yeah, when she put the tracker on, I was still kind of not sure what was going on totally. Because we were still finding out the lay of the land. Up until that point, we hadn't seen that robots could really survive in this environment, and they had no fuel, so would they have the capability or whatever. But as soon as the name was like going hand in hand with my name's Apple, here's that, it was just sort of like okay, so that sort of explains things a little bit
with anything else.
Yeah. Yeah, it became pretty obvious, and I mean it wasn't long after that they sort of revealed it. So yeah, you went along with it for a bit, but could have probably been done a little bit better. Even just change the name slightly to something else, and you probably wouldn't have just automatically gone, yeah, that's what it is.
Yeah.
Well, if you didn't know that she was a robot, the bit where she gets shot the first time would probably have had way more effect.
Yeah.
I'm just like, oh, that's not going to be a big deal.
Yeah, exactly.
She'll be fine because she's a robot.
Yeah.
So
I'm still confused. Why is it set in 1997?
because it's the future.
Don't know.
Is there like a reason for that?
The only thing I can come
It's
up
the
with
future
is because
from the 80s.
they want
or-
80s nostalgia, but so it's set as if 80s is nostalgic, and it's saying this is the future of 1997.
Yeah.
That's the only thing I can think of.
Which again is kind of a parody of, some like we're at a point now where we're past all these movies of
Yeah,
this is
flying
the
cars.
year 1992.
Yeah, like
where
Back
it's
to the
like-
Future.
Yeah.
You had flying skateboards and.
So we've got
combat
past
shoes.
those times that were set as the
1984.
future.
It can't be
from those
1984. Yeah.
So I think even that was a bit of a parody of that
Yeah.
sort of thing, that it's 1997 but it's not even close to like what it was in 90. Yeah, that's the only thing I can imagine was
Trying
the
to make
case.
it more real.
That's what I thought.
Yeah,
There was one bit I had, and it kind of gives you a green light on it later on. But I had when he falls into the robot graveyard, and it's got like green gas. He loses the glove, and I'm like thinking that's your ticket, mate. You've got to get it, and he just leaves it.
yeah, just left it, walked off.
I was like, that's the only reason you could have any hope of surviving. Like, even if you're getting poisoned, you'd still just go over and just cuddle up to the glove.
Yeah,
With the glove.
Yeah.
Like, that's
maybe I
probably-
can blast this gas away with my glove.
I thought,
It's gonna be a priority.
I thought it was the opportunity for him to lose the crutch that had been and just be a man, as opposed to depending on the glove. But then he got it back.
But he got it back. Exactly. So I was like, yeah,
That was done.
you're not quite good enough. Here's your glove. Yeah, there was. Probably going back slightly a little bit. After the pool party, the fight at the pool, they seem to get out pretty easily.
Considering they're
Run
in
out
the
of 10.
middle
They're going.
The thing that the issues that they cause, it's like they treat it like they've created a wall between them and the bad guys. Seems pretty contained there. So it's like everyone else can get around that wall.
Yeah.
And then they get out and just there's three bikes lined up on the wall.
riding off on their bikes.
Aaron Jeffries his exit from that actually cracked me up as well. He's like, we need to get out of here. I'm thinking everyone for themselves, and then he just like scampers
up he goes.
scampers up a
I
ladder.
think we split up. Yeah.
Yeah.
My last one I had was, it goes back to Apple being a robot, but when he goes and just fucking sticky tapes her head onto a different body that he finds, then at the end she dies and he just buries her.
Yeah, he's
Can't you
given
just
up.
sticky tape her head on someone else again?
Yeah. Maybe
it.
that was the crutch, Matty.
Oh,
Oh, there we go. Getting a bit deep now.
I don't. It just seems silly. It's like that's your best friend. You don't want to just sticky tape her head on someone else. Like there was.
Yeah.
she'd
Seemed
given up,
like-
she'd given up too though. She was like, "No, I'm actually dead this time."
It seemed like the other
Maybe.
problems that she encountered, if you can just sticky tape a head onto another body, can't we go and get another body? Get the
Yeah.
roller gaffer out again?
Her body was what was damaged because of the explosion. Like her head was still fine.
yeah, the head could talk. Like,
Yeah.
I don't see how they can make a sequel without her. So
They better
she's
not.
gotta
She
come
is
back.
the best part of the movie for me by far.
Yeah, those two together had some really awesome scenes together, and
Yeah, good chemistry.
I think, I had another slight dislike to do with her, was that how many times can they kill her?
Yeah.
how many times can we feel the effect of she's been shot or her head's fallen off, or like I'm losing hearts? Like it was sort of three separate incidents. She was doing the losing hearts, then the head got taken off, then she died
Yeah,
finally.
she got shot like 3 times different.
Which is why I'm thinking it's going to be pretty easy to bring her back for a sequel.
Yeah.
But
He'll just get a new model.
yeah,
There'll just be other models exactly the same, and it'll be her.
something like that. Yeah.
They'll all be the same annoying little twits that you can't get enough of. Because she'd be annoying, but she's endearing at the same time.
Yeah.
But her performance was easily the best part.
And that's what I was. That's what I was saying. If it could have gone down really badly with another actor, like some of the lines even that she was saying, like playing tag. If someone else was doing that and hadn't have been quite as endearing, you'd just be like, nah.
Yeah.
I can't.
Well, there's that one
can't
bit where
do
he's like, I can't think what he's doing, but he's either accusing her of something or he's like pouring his heart out, and then she just comes up and goes, tag her in, and just runs off.
Yeah,
again. It's
that's
like,
right.
She's just a kid. Like she's just.
Yeah.
I think he's talking about her hearts, like what happens when they run out.
That's right.
Something like that, yeah, but it's something like really like supposed to be deep and whatever, and she's just no, let's just fucking
Whatever.
play tips, mate. It's all good.
She did that a few times. there's that moment as well after she's like, "You didn't wait for me."
Yeah.
No, to start the fight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So good.
She sort of works. She's got nothing holding her back, I guess.
Yeah.
None of the emotional baggage that everyone else in the movie has. That's what I found. That was my probably most awkward scene when they're talking about the stars or whatever, and it's like this really emotional. It's meant to be, but I just felt like that was a bit weak.
Felt a little bit flat.
She's a robot and doesn't have a soul.
There was a couple. There was a couple of the dialogue moments where it
Souls are
didn't.
related. But
Yeah, I'm just waiting for her to switch into a psycho smiley face person, and like how does she figure it out that at that point to have all levity, but then at the beginning when she's attached to a dead person and she's meeting this guy for the first time, she doesn't have that same sensitivity. But I guess I might understand how it works for a movie, but that was my thing. It's not very funny. But
I didn't have any other dislikes though. That was it for me. Pretty small list on that side of things.
All right. Yeah, that was pretty much it for me. But yeah, I love that movie. So good. I'm glad you got. I was positive you were going to tear it a new one. So,
Mate, if
you
that's
go.
as bad as you do for the next couple, you'll be all right. You've definitely done worse to me, Jared, many times.
excellent.
The last couple of episodes definitely included in that list.
All right. Well, there you go. All right. Well, that's Turbo Kid. So next episode, your choice.
You're welcome.
Yep. So we're doing It Follows, which I would reckon would be in the handful of your favourite horror movies in the last few years.
Oh, for sure.
Yep. So if you want to get in touch with us, we've got the Facebook page, Thrill Me Podcast Australia, or the email address, thrillme@iinet.net.au. Join us next time for It Follows, but until then, take it easy and we'll catch you later. Cheers.
Find the podcast on Podomatic or on iTunes. Don't forget to rate and review. Like us on Facebook at Thrill Me Podcast Australia, or contact us at thrillme, all one word, all lowercase, at iinet.net.au.